Vladimir Putin is proving to be an enigma for the West. 106 days ago, Russian troops lined up on the border with Ukraine. 3 months and 2 weeks later, the West still cannot figure out what they're up to. So they're doing what they know best, prepare for war. The US has put thousands of troops on standby. NATO has already deployed soldiers with advanced weapons. This is not a standoff anymore. This is a conflict. No side is ready to de-escalate. Both sides are drawing up battle plans. The United States has put 8,500 troops on standby. They can be dispatched to Europe at a moment's notice.
The Secretary of Defense ordered a number of U.S. troops. It's going to be up to 8,500 U.S. forces to be on a heightened alert and be prepared to deploy to Europe if needed and if warranted by NATO. Most of those troops would deploy as part of NATO's response force.
NATO already has boots on the ground, 4,000 troops deployed in Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia and Poland. They're split in multinational battalions and armed with tanks, air defenses, intelligence and surveillance units. Ukraine too is expanding its reserve force. Civilians from all walks of life are joining, some as young as 21. They're being trained in basic combat, but it's going to be very tough to match Moscow. Russian troops have been firing shots and conducting drills. Ukraine says Russian mortars have been flying into their territory.
We haven't been shooting for about 3 days. 3 days was the last time. All of a sudden, they opened up with grenade launchers and firearm. One mortar flew over and fell in the field behind us. 2 more hit between ours and the next position. The next 15 minutes, everything was quiet again. Why? What for? Nobody knows. And that's how it is around here.
NATO, meanwhile, is reinforcing Eastern Europe with more ships and fighter jets.
We are considering to further enhance our presence in the eastern part of the alliance. This could include the deployment of additional NATO battle groups. Let me be clear, NATO will not compromise on core principles. We stand for the right of each nation to choose its own alliances, and NATO's door remains open.
No compromise is the message from NATO. How is Russia responding? With more troops. Russia has sent its Pacific Fleet forces to Belarus. Belarus shares a border with Ukraine. Earlier this month, Russian forces began deploying there. Russia and Belarus are stepping up their military engagements. They will hold joint military drills next month. The West sees Belarus as a staging ground for Russia now. If Moscow wants, it can target Kiev directly from Belarus. The US says Russia wants to turn this country into a permanent military base and deploy nuclear weapons along with soldiers. Russia, of course, rubbishes this. It has accused Washington of ratcheting up tensions.
The situation doesn't affect talks. The talks are completed at the current stage. Before we understand how and when we will continue NATO talks, we need to receive this notorious text. We hope that this will happen this week. And on what is going on from the US's side, either informationally or de facto, the rising tension. We talked yesterday about it a lot. Nothing changes. We are watching these actions of the USA with great concern.
The whole world, in fact, is watching the actions of the USA. President Biden met a number of European leaders virtually yesterday, but he said little about the outcome of the meeting.
I had a very, very, very good meeting, total unanimity with all the European leaders. We'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Total unanimity may be a bit of a tall claim. Europe is evidently divided. The US and the UK are warning about an impending conflict, but their friends in Europe are still not sure. Britain believes Russia could launch what they're calling a lightning war.
The intelligence is very clear that there are 60 Russian battle groups, about 60 Russian battle groups on the borders of Ukraine. The plan for a lightning war that could take out Kiev is one that everybody can see.
Johnson says Russia could take out Kiev, but Russia could win this without firing a single bullet. Ukraine is no match for it, and Ukraine's allies can't seem to agree on how to proceed. Wars, you see, are not won by weapons alone. You need commitment and conviction, and Europe is showing neither. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.